And action.
Inspiration can come from many places in your life. You might be with a friend who's showing you their travel photos and you think to yourself, hey, I got to go to that place, or hey, I got to see the world, or hey, I got to learn to become a photographer. Or you'll go to an art museum and you'll see paintings and sculptures and decide that you want to create. Or maybe you don't want to paint or sculpt, but maybe that will inspire you to write or create something delicious in the kitchen. Inspiration from music comes on many levels as well. Welcome to the Art of the Playlist, where today we're talking about music that inspires us. I'm here with my two inspirational and inspired friends, Christian Godbout and Robert LaFrance. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
And as you can see, we have a full house. We're also we're excited to be joined by two professional, nationally touring musicians. Shari Puorto is here with us. She's an acclaimed and award-winning vocalist, songwriter. I think she's a crazy good vocal powerhouse. She's into the whole blues, roots, rock, Americana vibe. And she wasn't only inspired by music, but she was also inspired by her partner, who's joining us here too, Doug Woolverton, who's an Emmy and Grammy nominated trumpet stylist, professional trumpet player. And Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, you're with the Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band as well as playing with Shari. Is that correct?
Correct. That's
All
correct.
right.
Yes.
So we're psyched to have you guys here
Yeah.
with us. And just to be completely transparent, Shari and I grew up in Orange, Connecticut together, and we'll talk more about that as the podcast goes on.
Just down the street.
That's it. Thanks for joining the Art of the Playlist today. They actually
super
inspired the
excited to have
topic
you
for
guys.
today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Super excited.
Yeah. They're going to talk about the music that inspired them to become musicians, which I think is amazing. So why don't you guys dig in? How did you come up with your playlist? How did you wind up getting into music? Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess I'll start. I think we both had a major influence when we were young, put it that way. Him being more physically playing. I started out with my musical interest from my parents. Mostly my dad was a big time into Southern rock, classic rock, and would sit us down in front of the record player and is that gonna fall down? And have us listen, listen to this band, check this band out. And every time a song was on, he'd be like, who's that? Who's this? Who's that? But he never knew the lyrics, which was hilarious because he would always think it. But that was my earliest memories of getting into like all types of music, the Allman Brothers and stuff like that. And I have a very near and dear to my heart folk singer who's no longer with us, but he would just play the guitar and sing songs. And so my dad and I would play that record over and over and over. So that's kind of how I started, I guess. And then in junior high, I played the flute and then anyway, so on and so on. So you could tell your first memories, I guess.
My father was actually a musician, regional musician. I grew up in New Jersey, and so I was surrounded by musicians constantly, whether they were doing their practicing or my grandmother was the church organist and would sing in my dad's band in the evenings and kind of do some cool things. So I was very young and kind of around music. And I remember my father, when he wasn't doing music stuff, he would be in the garage doing woodworking, back in the day where you had a garage with all the big saws and stuff. And so he'd have me and my twin brother come out and we would do the sanding of all the little cuts. And I remember he'd always smoke his pipe and you'd open the garage door and into the garage and it'd be a billow of smoke, and it smelled so good though, because pipe smoke smells good. And he'd always have great music playing, obviously being the musician that he is. And I remember hearing a muted trumpet for the first time ever in kindergarten. I was very young. And I go, Dad, that's awesome. What is that sound? And he goes, that's a muted trumpet. That's Miles Davis. And, I heard his trumpet players in his band as I got older, but like Miles Davis definitely was my first, like it perked my ears to later that kindergarten year being in school when the teacher wheeled, it was like nap time where we'd have our mats. They'd put the mats down. She'd wheel in the cart with the VCR player and the TV. And she was like, today we're going to listen and learn about the blues. And it was like this video documentary of the blues. And what I remember about that particular moment for me musically was the video started and I heard this guitar, just like I felt when I heard Miles Davis. I heard this guitar and it was like this black and white video, more from I think it was probably from the late 40s or early 50s. And it was B.B. King playing the guitar. I'm like, that's the sound. And so like, I think that those two moments for me at that age, I'll never forget, and kind of triggered me to want to be a musician and, so, surrounded by music, but yeah, for sure.
I wanted to say real quick, he just reminded me when I was 10, it's the first time I heard Etta James.
Oh.
And I had a tape cassette and I listened to it. I like burned it up because I listened to it over and over and over and over and over and over. And something about her at a young age was mesmerizing to me. I just loved, I guess for me, and now over the years I can make sense of it. She had such an ability to reel you in with like a soft, subtle voice, and then she'd spit you right back out because she just like was a powerhouse, right? And I love that emotional feeling I get every time I listen to her records, or is she had this way to pull you in and then spit you back out and make you just be like, ah, that was crazy. So that's I didn't think to mention that right now, but I'm glad about Miles Davis.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I know that both of you have included both Etta James and Miles Davis on your playlist, which you guys did a collective playlist for this episode, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We all are fully appreciative of both those artists. Etta James has shown up on our playlists in the past, and also Miles Davis. I mean, I'm a huge kind of blue girl, so
Absolutely.
like many people are. Doug, I don't know if you're familiar with this, and I think I might have told this story previously. Flea had his album come out this year, and I had
Yep.
watched an interview with him and years ago, and he had said that when he travels the world to perform, when he goes to record stores, every time he sees a version of Kinda Blue on vinyl, he buys it. And he has
Wow.
all different iterations of it from different countries and different remasters and re-releases of it. So yeah, he definitely
That's
takes
pretty awesome. He actually just performed with his jazz group at the Newport Folk Festival in Newport,
Yeah.
Rhode Island.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I bet that was
That's-
cool.
Yeah, and
That's
so he's like,
awesome.
we've been kind of watching what he's been doing because his love for the trumpet is, everyone knows him as the Chili Peppers bass player, obviously, but he's always had the love and passion for the trumpet. And so now that he's doing his own thing and kind of more of the jazz style with the trumpet, it's kind of cool to kind of let him branch out and see what he's doing. It's neat.
Definitely. Another person that you had on your playlist, speaking of the Newport Jazz Festival, Christian and I just saw Marcus King in one of his projects a couple of weeks ago with Atomic Habits, which is a little bit of a different spin for him. But they went and played at the Newport Jazz Festival as well. And it was pretty cool to see him. Shari, were you the one who included him in your piece of the playlist?
Yeah. Yeah. But we both love him.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He's so talented. Oh my God.
Love Marcus
Yeah.
King.
So talented.
That night I tried to go on, it was late, but I tried to get tickets to the Newport Jazz Fest or the Folk Fest, and I just couldn't get tickets. Everything was sold out. It's too bad. Next time I need to plan ahead.
It's such a great event to go to. We went, Doug's been there many times, but I went for the first time probably 4 years ago, and it was super cool. I was surprised at some of the heavy rock bands I was hearing. I'm like, this isn't really folk jazz or whatever. I was just really surprised. So they have definitely an eclectic view, or eclectic different types of bands. So
Yeah, keeps it interesting, right?
What's that?
It keeps it interesting.
For sure, for sure. And I think I get it because it attracts all different ages, all different age groups. We're talking about the Newport the Jazz Festival.
I have a 12-year-old and he needed help with his bike seat. So I was
Can relate,
so
man.
Sorry to disappear, but dad first always. So my
Always.
apologies for leaving.
Smart move.
These two are dads as
sorry to
well.
interrupt you. My apologies, but he knows what's up. Yeah.
It's cool.
It's all good.
And I think it's so great that you guys had this early jazz influence when you were kids. I mean, I didn't get into Etta James until I was an adult. Same with Miles and, those guys. So it's great. I mean, obviously it helps kind of shape you when you're a kid, right?
Absolutely.
For sure. I don't know where I should ask my dad where I got that cassette from. Because I mean, I have no idea,
Yeah.
but I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Kind of Blue is like, I think it went quadruple platinum or more. And it's like a national treasure, that album. And learning as I kind of got into the Miles Davis as I got older and started studying him, and what I learned from what you mentioned about growing up with his music or jazz in general as a child was the melodic approach that especially Miles Davis had with music. Like he's very like Sherry's singing, very lyrical. Like his phrasing was, and especially on Kind of Blue, is a great record to kind of showcase what he did as a performer. But he was like a vocalist with his trumpet, and not only was he
Right.
doing and taking space when he needed space, but he would use his songs like in Kind of Blue and later on in his career to do pop songs like Cyndi Lauper tunes and Michael Jackson tunes, and like songs to like say, hey, the trumpet can do this because I'm basically like a vocalist, like what Sherry does. And I always loved that as a kid because like bebop jazz can be really fast and intimidating. But when you're listening to Kind of Blue, everything about that record is familiar. Anyone can sing those melodies for the most part. And it's like, I believe that has a total testament to why that record and that album even to is was the highest selling jazz record of all time, because people could relate to it.
Yeah. Right. That's a
And
great point.
that's makes it a great entry point for jazz too, because I think that was one of the very first jazz albums I ever bought, and it was not till I was an adult for sure. But once you got into that music, it was so melodic, it was so easygoing, it just felt easy to embrace as
Yep.
somebody that was new to jazz. It was very accessible, and so I
Yeah.
really love that, and that led me to more and more jazz of that style and of other styles and more complicated, complex jazz where they're playing all kinds of runs and different chord structures and all that stuff. Like that wasn't where I got into it in the beginning. It was Kind of Blue that was the entry point for me.
Yep. That's great. Totally. I mean, and what a great record for everybody to hear. I mean, it is modal jazz, which is what that album is, was so accessible and understanding for every listener, and it's just cool. It's the coolest record.
Hey,
Awesome.
sure. If I could, I wanted to ask you a question on the new album on Hold On. You've got a song called Where Is All the Great Music Going? Can you
Yeah.
talk about that? Because we talk a lot about this on the podcast, and I wanted to
Yeah.
get your take on what was your inspiration for that song and what were you thinking?
So applicable. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So this exactly what I was saying earlier. My dad sat me down and taught me all these great, this music and these bands. And I feel like, I don't know, probably in the last, I don't know, 10 years, 6 years, whatever it's been, but the music has changed. I just don't feel like there still are like Marcus King. I mean, he has great music and he sings from the heart, but I think that that's missing a little bit on the majority of the music out there. It's just not a lot of heart and soul put into it anymore. It's like, someone sitting behind a keyboard and this is how they write their songs, it just,
So true.
so I mean, there's a lot of great music still out there. Yes, I'm not saying it all is terrible, but so that's kind of where that came from. So the first verse is, not so long ago, my daddy sat me down and showed me all the music that I should know. So spun all those records through the night, kind of thing. So that's exactly what he did. And that's what the sentiment of the song is where is the music going? And now with AI involved,
Oh,
now what's happening? I don't know. It's a scary thought. I really hope it doesn't take over. I really hope it doesn't. I'm sure we both agree with that. And you too. You guys too.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
dig a little deeper with that, with Sherry's, what she's saying in that particular song, we just got back from camping, and my son wanted to play this game on YouTube called Name That Tune. And it plays like, 120 different artists from 1970 to 2020. And it's like the amount of artists and songs you can relate to from 1970 to 2009 is way larger than you can from 2015 to now. We're like, I don't know that song. I don't, because there's these one hit wonders. And I'm not saying that the music their music isn't good, but you don't remember these melodies, these horn lines, these lyrics, like the I think to where has the music been going, like the song, it's like these are memorable songs that we grew up on that are still being played as like these and records, not just one hit.
Right.
Like when you hear the Beatles, you can go this song, this song, this song,
Sure.
Rolling Stones, this song, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, blah blah. It's
How
so
about
different.
even what came to mind for me is the band Chicago. I
Mm.
mean, think about that band. Like, who's doing that?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, every song like hit,
Love
hit, 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 you know, and so I think that, I guess, it's not about people aren't putting good music out today, are those songs going to be as memorable, and can they put another record out that's going to have another memorable song like back in the day, like, you know, Leonard Skinner, the Allman Brothers, you know, the Beatles, like we mentioned, and it's just,
The Beach Boys.
yeah, it's just, it's a little scary because, you know, these songs, like, we didn't know the artists, you know, and we're musicians. And why is that? Because the guy wrote it on YouTube and it became a million person viewer. And he became, for that one song, hugely popular. And now it's like, what's he doing now?
Yeah.
You know, and again, no disrespect to any artist ever. But I think that what her song is saying is that it's
Yeah.
like, is there going to be that memorable kind of hook that's going to be 50 years from now still being sung?
And yeah, just where's the heart and soul of it, you know?
And are you going to see that in a concert, right? You're not going to see
Right.
folks like you or Tedeschi Trucks or Room Full of Blues, you know, these bands that tour that have such great, powerful music. You know, it's a little scary, right? But I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys are still pumping it out. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad too. Um, I think one of the things that came to mind for me on all of this is that there's like this weird push-pull in the industry. Like there are all these singing competitions shows where these folks are going on and they're being coached by professional musicians and they're telling them that they have to bring emotion and heart and soul to their performances. But then they're in a position where all their music is overproduced and they're being showcased in a way where they just crank things out, or they're on a tour where it's just like so commercialized. So the industry is saying one thing, but they're creating something else. And the AI stuff, I don't see how that's going to inspire anybody if we're talking about inspiration. I'm not saying that a computer can't put together the rudiments of music, right? The notes and and whatever, but that other piece of the puzzle, that X factor, that unknown element is not coming through. And certainly the live performance stuff, you know, is not going to be supported by that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think regarding the AI music stuff, remember that AI has been trained on all of the previously existing music. So it has no idea how to create something brand new. And the innovation that happens is with humans in every aspect of our creativity. Unless you have the human input and that creativity can then push boundaries, then AI is never going to come up with anything new. It's just going to regurgitate all the old stuff. And so I think that, I mean, I come from a music production and DJ background. So a lot of the tools that have kind of AI engines behind something, they help artists be more creative. That I'm all for. Like, you can use AI as a tool, but like the companies that are just completely creating AI from scratch, like you put in like, you know, a quick prompt and then it puts out a blues song that sounds almost like you guys would have done it, is ridiculous. I mean, that's just using everything that came from the past to create something quote unquote new, but it's not really new at all. And so I think that AI stuff is gonna be hopefully killed off by all the streaming services, because unless they do something about it and flag all that stuff, it's ultimately going to completely overwhelm all of the streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music, and then you won't be able to hear anything that wasn't AI generated.
Oh my gosh, never thought about that. Yeesh.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's a lot if you put your head in that space, for sure.
I wonder what song would be that. We just heard, funny, when we were this past weekend, remember that song, Video Killed the Radio Star?
Yes.
What's
Of
going to be
course.
for AI?
Yeah. We should write that.
Yeah, right?
There you
Let's
go.
do that.
Speaking of
You-
songwriting, you're both songwriters and you're both together and individually. What are some things that go into good songs for you, or where does that?
Well,
How do you get inspired to do that stuff? Where does it come from?
Obviously, anything heartfelt that's coming, like that's, you're passionate about, what that can come through in the song, whether it's, I'm playing it on my trumpet or hearing someone sing it lyrically. Number one, it's, I got to feel it. I want to feel the song, and that goes to the groove. I want it to, depending on if it's a funky groove, I love that. Like I love something that makes you want to kind of move your head or tap your foot. And if it's an emotional song, whether it's a ballad or something, I want to feel what that artist is doing. And so as I'm writing songs or helping write songs, it's like, is this going to sell? Is this selling kind of what the song is trying to do? And, that's kind of like the foundation. It's got to have a great bass line. It's got to have a good drum line, drum beat. And it's got to match the rhythm section has to match kind of what the song's sharing, and talking about, or what the melody is. So I kind of try to use all that musical knowledge to pump out good music. And working with Shari is always a total pleasure because she can pump out some great music.
yeah, I love writing my own stuff, and sometimes at the end of the day, I'm like, "Ah, nobody's gonna like it," but I don't even care because it feels so good to get your own stuff out there and hear when you like finally hear the final product, and whether it's years later, I'll still hear songs and be so proud of it for myself because it tells me I can when I look back at my oh God, the first record, I hope you guys didn't listen to that one. But um I hope I can look back and go, wow, I've grown so much since then. And, I've surrounded myself with other people and better people, or, you know what I mean? It just changes, every time we write songs. And obviously the older you get, the more experience or more lively experience, in life or whatever. But yeah, so a lot of situational, as Doug mentioned, I write about, um, because I feel I can never sing a song I can't sell, whether you know what I mean? Even if I'm covering a tune, I have to feel that and connect with it to be able to perform it at a level that I want to perform it. So, but yeah, I love songwriting. And we were just talking today. I want to finish this other song that started working on earlier this year. So hope we can finish it.
Awesome. How
Good
long does it
deal.
take you to finish a song? Curious because I've never done this.
It depends. It so depends. Like I could sit down with Doug and be like, "Hey, I've got this, melody. Let's sit down and and if I have an idea of the song, what it's going to be about, I'll just kind of throw in words here and there as I'm humming the melody or something, and he can help me refine it. Um, so it could be quick, like really quick, or it could be not. So it just depends.
I think
Right.
every song is different.
Yeah.
Every song, it's like cooking. If you made the same meal every night, you could whip it out because you're just so used to it. But if you want to do that Food Network try and do well, they did this and that, it sometimes takes some time because to get those right seasonings in the song, sometimes you got to put it away for a little bit because you got to come back and re-listen to it because you can get the tendency is to get so brainwashed into it, and then it's like the old exam when you're taking your test and you're like, oh, I think it's B. Actually, no, wait, it's C. And you should have just kept your first hand. It's the same
Yeah.
thing with music, but every song is different.
Yeah.
We were listening to we did a children's record that I'm sure we'll talk more about, but if you guys would like, but the songs, like that was our first project really together in songwriting. And it was so much fun. And we realized at that moment that we could really come up. We were a great partnership because for the elements that Shari brings to the table and I bring together, it was like our perfect combination of tomato sauce. It was just like it just worked.
And that record actually, which is targets like preschool to about first grade, was something that I had an idea, and Doug and I together brought it to life. But I always wanted to write a children's record based on what I mentioned earlier, the experience I had growing up with the music with my dad, you know? Like it brought me so much joy and great memories that I was hoping that we could, you know, do the same thing for maybe a kid that hears that record today,
That's
you
awesome.
know? So the record is we're so proud of it. Every time I hear it, we're just like, God, that's really good. It's so good. I mean,
It's a great record.
we
So
hired
what's the name of that album?
it's called Lightning's Lessons. And Little Lightning was a rabbit I had when I was a kid in Orange, Connecticut. And so he is the main character. So we created 10 characters. It's a CD or, you know, download and a book, a digital
Oh,
download book
Cool.
or a physical. And we created all these characters. So every song has characters and it's got a meaning to it, whether it's to, you know, be polite or learn your directions or
ABCs 1 to 10.
yeah.
Using your imagination. I mean, it's all this stuff.
I
Yeah.
saw that
That's
you had
really
a song
great.
about vegetables on there. We're gonna wind up doing a health-oriented playlist, and that may be making its way to to the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That's and
That's
and
a
I have to
reggae
say,
tune too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
and
Yeah.
you both lit up talking about this album. Do you think you would do another one?
I
So
don't-
there was a lot of work. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I would love to because that's why we called it Volume 1
There you go.
because we were thinking about maybe doing the next age group. But yeah, like Doug was saying, it was a lot of work.
it's,
Right.
you know, let me just say this, you know, because we're on air. It's a lot of work and it's like hard to sell, you know, like
yeah.
ideally we would like, and the advantage of it, it's a kid's book, so it's lifelong. So it's not going to be like period, like in some music, you can tell it was made in the 80s. Like kids' music
Oh,
will
right.
always be kids' music. So
Mhm.
that's the plus. What we need to really inspire us to do another one, which we hope to someday, is if we could get it in the school system regionally or get it picked up. So like the revenue was coming in. People are like, yeah, how come we didn't find this sooner? Like Scholastic Books or whatever. That would be helpful because it is that good. But it's so hard to like get your product out there.
Yeah.
And it's just so much work for the reward is huge, but like to make it to justify to do another one, we got to get the first one going. You know, that would be our goal. And then then we would do volume 2. But yeah, of course we'd love to do it.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Well, it's my new baby shower gift. You guys inspired me to do
Yay.
that. So.
That's a great idea, Patty. I love that.
Yeah, a lot of our
definitely.
friends have bought it for their kids or their grandkids or gifts for exactly.
Yeah, people love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit more to the stuff that you put on your playlist in terms of some of the other artists that inspired you? We kind of hit a couple of them, and a couple of the bands here that I can see that people played with, that Doug played with, Kenny Wayne Shepherd and is on there for sure, and Roomful of Blues and Victor Wainwright. So who else do you want to tell us about?
You want to go? You want me to go?
Well, I'm just going to mention real quick, the Doobie Brothers is on there, one of my favorite all-time bands.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I love the Doobie Brothers. Anyways, go ahead. Yeah, you can.
Well, those bands that we wanted to put the playlist of just kind of my career of like kind of in the blues genre of kind of where I started out. I joined Roomful in 2008. Their trumpet player passed away. I mean, the Roomful of Blues, for those that don't know the band, they were the original Blues Brothers band. Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi they hired Roomful to do their Second City kind of comedy act with using the blues as their foundation. And they toured with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd for quite a bit until Duke Robillard, at the time, the leader of Roomful of Blues, was thinking that they were making a mockery of the blues. And he obviously, Roomful's a very, all blues musicians were serious about our music, and they thought that they were mocking it, so they parted ways. And, then the movie came out, and the Blues Brothers movie, and everyone became famous, and Roomful was like, dang, we should have stayed with it. and we're talking about like decisions, right? So, but I had the great fortune as I was 4 years out of college. I was probably 26. when I joined them. Was with them for 2008 to 2018. So a decade of basically cutting my teeth in the blues with one of the greatest jump swing blues bands in the world. I mean, they've been touring the world since 1957.
Amazing.
1967, excuse me, 1967, same year as Chicago, the band. And then I joined Victor Wainwright's band. I started playing with him in 2016, as Roomful. I was kind of juggling both bands. And when Roomful and kind of where my career was starting to plateau, I was like, Victor Wainwright was, and still is, was kind of like this hot boogie woogie, Jerry Lee Lewis vibe, funky, creative dude, and asked me to be a part of his band. So I started touring with him up until 2023. When then Kenny Wayne Shepherd got asked to be in his band. So that's why those three are on there, which I'm so grateful for, to be able to have kind of, done that in the blues genre. But like some of the other artists, to answer your question on there, one in particular that was another huge influence for me personally was this artist, the trumpeter Chris Botti, Botti. If you don't know who that is, check him out. I mean, he has always been an inspiration for me in so many levels, and I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but great businessman, great stage presence, beautiful sound, and basically made the trumpet this beautiful sound. A lot of people hear the trumpet and think, oh, it's shrill, it's piercing, it's loud and high, and it's, you don't need a microphone, and just kind of things that stereotype the trumpet, whereas Chris Botti has made that instrument the beautiful symphonic, but yet into pop culture. Like he's like the modern day Miles Davis, actually, and so huge influence. Sting kind of picked him up and made him who he is, helped make him who he is. So he is, as a trumpet player, has definitely been a huge influence of how I've, maneuvered my career as a musician, whether it's stage look, business sense, when to make the right move, how, and just all of that. Like he's just been, and my trumpet teacher that I studied with was roommates with Chris Botti before he was who he is on the Buddy Rich band, the famous,
Oh wow.
big
Wow.
band. So, yeah, so that's why, and I don't, again, I'll stop there, but Chris Botti was one I wanted on there because of I just love what he does as a trumpet player.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I guess I'm trying to remember all the other songs we put on that playlist, but I think obviously I'm a big fan of Bonnie Raitt's. I mean, who
Love Bonnie
isn't?
Raitt,
I think,
yeah.
but she was a big influence on me. Who was that there? Etta, Bonnie, Susan Tedeschi, obviously with Tedeschi Trucks Band. Not only do I love her and how she sings, but the band.
So great.
Love their vibe. Yeah,
You have
can't
the
remember
Black
who-
Crows on there, the Robinson brothers.
love
the Black
them.
Crowes.
Love the Black Crows. I had an amazing opportunity. I sang a song with Rich Robinson about 6 years ago, and that was exciting for me. So that was a lot of fun. But I think yeah, it's just been such a blast. And we both have had so many great experiences, and hopefully it continues on and on.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit. You have Led Zeppelin on your playlist, and Led Zeppelin is close to my heart. And Shari and I, we mentioned that we grew up on the same street. We grew up on a street called Old Silo Road, and Led Zeppelin was definitely one of the tunes that was kind of in the air when we were growing up. We grew up,
Yeah.
like many people did, in the 70s and 80s in a neighborhood where kids rode bikes and everybody got together. Me and my brothers would have the garage door open at my parents' house. We had like folding chairs set up in there. People could come hang. We listened to music, or we listened to
Yep.
my brother's band rehearse. There was always something connected, and I definitely feel connected to Led Zeppelin for that reason. They're on my playlist. And I have one of Shari's songs on my playlist. She wrote a song about our street called Old Silo Road.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
cool.
so that song is on my
Very near
playlist as
near
well.
and dear to my heart. I love that song.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I appreciate your inspiration, the nostalgia of growing up together, and that you captured it through your art, and you capturing your experience with your dad and sharing that through your songwriting as well. It's very cool.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I kind of want to share my Led Zeppelin story.
Oh God.
If you could, because this is what this is all about, right? These
Sure.
interviewing
It's
kind of cool
Absolutely.
stories. So
This is very painful. I'm just warning you.
one of the
Oh
things
boy.
about our career is the people we get to meet, and we're constantly around just awesome people and, meeting all these cool people. But anyway, so this story in particular, I was at the King Biscuit Blues Festival with Roomful of Blues in I think it's in Helena, Arkansas.
It is in Helena.
And we were backing the famous harmonica player, James Cotton, who was a
Oh.
blues legend. And so we had done this, we were on a tour with him, we were his band, and we were co-headlining the festival. Buddy Guy was after us. And we were told before we got off the stage, before we started, that we had 15-minute changeover to get our gear off because Buddy comes with his wireless guitar from the back. And so we needed to have our stuff off so that band could hit as soon as he was ready to start. So we're scrambling. As soon as we were done, I'm stage right by the staircase to this VIP area with people with like all these lanyards back here, like say VIP. So as I get off right to the bottom of the stairs, this guy grabs my hand and he's like death grip. And he's like, he was talking about Roomful and how many times he's seen the band. He loves the band, but he's like, yeah, I love your energy. He was very complimentary. And I was like, hey man, and by the way, I'm never rude to anybody because it's just not my nature. So I was like, I don't mean to be rude, man, but I got to get my stuff off the stage. Hope you enjoy the festival. Thanks for the really nice compliments, but Buddy's going to be starting any minute now, and I got to get my stuff. So he's like, oh, yeah. So I grab my stuff off the stage, and then the lead singer comes up to me. He's like, do you have any idea who you just blew off? I'm like, no, but my hand still hurts. He's like, that was Robert Plant.
Oh my God.
I had no idea.
I told you it was painful.
I did not. So I did not have a garage door on Old Silo Road listening to Led Zeppelin. Anyway, and this is pre-YouTube. I was playing Led Zeppelin music in a high school band, blah, 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 but I never watched the band. I had no idea what he looked like.
Oh my God.
So he was there. He was the one like saying, I wasn't going to do the English accent and all that stuff. But I went up to him. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, so I had to find him, of course. And when I was done, and I'm like, hey man, I wanted to explain, like, we were told we had 15 minutes. I was not being unappreciative. And he's like, oh man, if anyone gets it, I do. And I like tap him on the shoulder. And I was like, yeah, but the difference between you and I is I got to take my own shit off the stage. He's so famous, no one has to do it for him. Yeah. But that's my Robert Plant story.
That's a
that
great
I'll
story.
never forget.
No, I bet you won't.
Very cool. Very
Yes,
cool.
unbelievable. But music is cool that way. It's like you never know who you're going to meet, and you just always in life should have that mentality of like the person in the front row or the last row could be the person that could change your career, or you could be changing their life with what you're doing. Like, I guess it's not about everyone's move. So that's what's awesome about music is you never know who you're going to be shaking hands with. Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Always be kind to people, right? Because you just never know.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't
Absolutely. Exactly.
you? Yeah.
Why
That's
would it?
awesome.
Exactly.
Sherry and I were at this, you got to tell them the Mavis Staple birthday party story. We were in LA. I'll jump in.
All right. I'm going to sum it up.
Okay.
We went to this, we were backstage. It was Mavis Staples' 80th birthday party.
85th birthday.
85th?
Yeah.
Okay, 85th. And we got this amazing opportunity. Doug's best friend was the production guy running the show, basically. So he got us backstage and we're just, the concert is over and we walk in the room. I'm like, do you realize who is in this room? Like Nora Jones, Chris Stapleton, Bonnie Raitt, Trombone Shorty, Robert Randolph. I don't know if you know. Anyways, the list kept going and going and going.
Trombone Shorty, like. Yeah.
Trombone Shorty.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So I'm like, oh my God, Doug, there's Bonnie. Like Bonnie was right there. And
And Chris Stapleton right there.
I'm like, I need to say something. I need to say something. And then I chickened out. And,
we were both scared to talk to him.
And then she was gone. I'm like, oh.
Because we're like, we're finally in a room with people like, oh my gosh. Because there was a very select few people allowed in this room, and we were also allowed in that room. So, and it was a birthday. We were having cake, and doing this whole thing, and the two of us were both like, we just wanted to say hi, but we were both just too scared.
Shell shocked.
We were sitting like on the couch with them, and we were just like,
It's fascinating to hear that people who are out there in it, who are doing it professionally, still get starstruck when they see their idols.
I had the opportunity to meet Greg Allman a couple times. We were backstage before, obviously, the band broke up, stopped. But I'm just such a big fan of him and the music. And I had written a song all about Greg Allman, and I wanted to tell him so bad, but I just couldn't do it. I'll never forget that one. That one hurt almost more than the Bonnie Raitt one. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, but then there's always just the good side of things. Like I think about, I've had such great opportunities to perform on stage, whether I was backing vocals with, Patty, you might appreciate this. Well, I think you all would, being the music fans you are. Growing up with the Eagles, right? Hotel
Excellent.
California. So I was on a benefit concert performing background vocals mostly, but I sang some lead, but I sang background vocals to Don Felder on Hotel California.
Very cool.
Wow.
I thought I was gonna have I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I was just like, this is surreal. That song was just a big part of growing up.
Oh,
And anyway, so we've had so many great opportunities of actually meeting people as well as letting them walk right by us. But it's been a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, it's been cool because Sherry's such a huge Bonnie. We're both, but Sherry's like a huge Bonnie Raitt fan,
Yeah.
and we're both. Yeah.
I don't want her to think I'm crazy.
Well,
she
at least
probably
you
gets
got
that-
her essence in that moment, right?
I did. I've realized how little she is. But she probably gets it all the time, so I wouldn't have been anything different.
And we were so happy when she won the Grammy last year for
Right.
like that was such a big. Last year, 2 years ago,
Here's gonna be. I don't
it
know.
was such a big. It was awesome. We were so happy for her. Yeah.
That is awesome. She certainly deserves it. Well, a
my
lifetime
God.
of it, right? Just so great.
Yeah. So great.
She's on my playlist for this episode as well.
Yay.
Yeah, that Nick of Time album came out at like a really pivotal moment, and that had a big impact on me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we had Lettuce on there too.
We
You
did.
did, yeah.
And
I
Cory
saw that.
Wong.
Cory Wong. Are you guys hip to those two bands?
Not before you put it on the playlist, but we
You
will be
have to
now.
listen.
We are now, right?
They're amazing.
So backstory with both of those bands, and it's not long. So there's a band Soul Live, and there's a band Lettuce, and they were kind of like this organ trio, and then it kind of got to a bigger band with like a bass player instead of just or left-hand bass. Long story short, they added a horn section, and the trumpet player that was formerly with them left Lettuce to join Dave Matthews Band. And they hired my dear buddy from Rhode Island, because I lived in Rhode Island for about 18 years, Eric Benny Bloom on trumpet to play with Lettuce. And so when he got to play with that band, we became instantly attracted to their sound because it's just funky and so amazing. And it's all instrumental for the most part and just like awesome. So,
Which for me was interesting that I loved them so much. And especially Cory Wong, also mostly instrumental, that Doug introduced me to. I'd never, sadly, heard of him before. I was so blown away. I mean, what a show. And the music is so great.
yeah, Cory Wong, Sam, he's like the prince of, we love,
These are funky.
Cory Wong's horn section. So Prince, I think Prince was even on our playlist, probably. If not, it should have been. But
Yeah, it should have been.
Prince's horn section was called the Hornheads. And they had there's two guys from Prince's horn section that are Cory Wong's horn section. Cory Wong has a 5-piece horn section that's got that Prince element, because the guy that wrote he's the trumpet player that wrote all the horn parts for Prince is writing and arranging all the horn parts for Cory Wong. So it's like we went to their show, and usually sometimes horns can be buried in kind of background, which is why we both love Chicago. and Earth,
Right.
Wind and Fire and Blood, Sweat and Tears, because like the horns are definitely front, and part of it. But Corey Wong and Prince, like we went to their show and the horns were such a huge upfront element to his music, that we're like, yep, this is awesome. And then of course we know people in their band and stuff, but it was cool to hear them live. It's just so funky. I mean, who doesn't love funk music, right?
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we put those two on there, is our personal connections with the band, but also that we just love their music.
That's awesome. These instrumental bands like Corey Wong and Lettuce and Papadozio, these bands are becoming more and more popular with people. I think that some people go to dance, right? They go to just groove, but I think there's also something emotional about hearing instrumental music that connects you on a different level. If you think about the way that humans have evolved, and classical music certainly is all instrumental, right? Like there's a different experience when you're in a live performance with instrumentation as the forefront. You hear things differently.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
there's
a good
something
point.
to be said about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
true.
I mean, it's like the modern day kind of blue. I mean, right? It's
There you go.
instrumental music that kind of can relate to. I mean, when you look at Corey Wong's audience, I guarantee you the audience is, I'm probably younger than 18, but 18 to 40, versus like Roomful of Blues, where the demographic was
Hello.
low as 45, 50 to plus 80.
Well,
Totally.
I shared a little of my playlist. You guys shared some of your playlist. Chris or Rob, did you guys want to highlight anything from your stuff?
I'll go quick because I just picked a few. I mean, I think my playlist is probably 20 songs, and let's see. As a theme on our podcast, you may not have seen it, but it comes up quite frequently. "Killing in the Name of" by Rage Against the Machine. I had to put it on my list because it motivates me.
Yeah.
And it's it can invoke a lot of emotion, so I enjoyed that. I have "Move On Up" with Curtis Mayfield.
Oh, wow.
So
"Respect" Aretha Franklin. Who doesn't love Aretha Franklin?
I don't know.
Right. And then I wrapped it up with "As Time Goes By" by Dooley Wilson from the Casablanca soundtrack, because that was my wife and I's first dance back not that many years ago, but a few years ago. What,
Aw.
wow.
28 years ago. So yeah, she's certainly an inspiration for me. So yeah, so that's just a handful of them, but I really loved your playlist, and I can't wait to dig more into it because it's great stuff, and it's not always stuff that I think to put in a playlist. So good stuff. How
Super
about you,
cool.
Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any personal experience with the artists on my list, so I feel like I'm coming in to a little bit different. But I chose to. I mean, inspiration is the theme that we talked about, and I could have taken it in a number of different directions. And as far as inspiration, like meaning, does it inspire you to do something? Does it creative inspiration? But what I chose ultimately was like songs that make you happy to be alive, like celebration songs. And so some of the first songs, and like I said, I come from a DJ background. A couple of the songs that came to mind were like high energy dance songs. So I put some of those on my playlist, but I'll talk a couple about, I have one story that I think is funny. So I started my playlist with David Barrett and Luther Vandross, "One Shining Moment." So this is really personal for me because my son is a college basketball player and he's playing at University of Tampa next year. We're super proud of him. But we also live in the basketball capital of the world, which some people may not know, but it is Connecticut.
Yeah.
And
Go
as a
UConn.
Go
UConn
Huskies.
basketball fan,
Yeah.
we've heard that song, "One Shining Moment," more than any other program in the last decade. So consequently, I kind of had to start that. And it's cool that that David Barrett, who wrote it, was inspired by some of the highlights from Larry Bird. And so I love that song, and it's become like the staple. You can't separate that song from the NCAA basketball tournament anymore. It's like part and parcel. So that was the first song I put on my playlist. And then I have a bunch of other stuff in there, including like Bob Marley, "Lively Up Yourself," because the live version of that he put out in 1975 is like just the title alone is inspirational. I've talked about this on another podcast, but if Bob Marley tells you to be happy, you better be.
True. True that.
And then
Great song too.
I moved on to like some of the more DJ oriented songs, my favorite dance tracks. So the first one is Daft Punk, "One More Time," that came out in like 2000. That this is just celebration for celebration's sake. I was playing that every week from my vinyl version of that on vinyl. And it has like this epic 2-minute breakdown. And when there was a bunch of people on the dance floor, they would stay, because when that vocal came in that said, "We're going to celebrate tonight," everybody sang along, everybody knew the lyrics, and it was always
Yeah.
a big hit. So that
That's
was
cool.
that was the last one. And then the final song on my playlist is a song called "All Right" by Red Carpet, released in 2004. And it's the very first song I thought of when the inspiration theme came up, because it has these soulful vocals that just feel like reassurance, like everything's going to be all right. And she repeats that phrase, and it always puts a smile on my face. In fact, that song has gotten me through some hard times in my life. And so I had to end it with that, because everything is going to be all right, and we just got to get through and get to the next version of our inspiration. So those are the songs that make me feel inspired and make me feel happy. And so that's how I do my playlist.
Super cool.
That is cool.
Well,
Yep.
you, Patty, anything else you want to mention?
I just want to say that I put songs out there. The Beatles, Led Zeppelin from when we were growing up. I put a couple of Shari's tunes on there because she inspired this episode. And then I put a bunch of female vocalists that I think also are inspirational to me. So that's how my playlist went down. And the links to all of these playlists will be on this podcast episode. We'll also put links to Shari's information and Doug's information, so you can follow them and find out more about their music. Shari, is there anything that you want to tell us more about Doug that maybe we should know? Or
Oh my God. Well, he's an amazing, not only amazing trumpet player, but he's an amazing bass player. So when
Oh.
he plays with me in my band, he plays bass. And probably for 2 years, I didn't even know he played the bass. And then because I was just about to start to look for new bass players in my band. And he's like, "Well, how about me? Can I try out?" I'm like, "What?" So
that's awesome.
yeah,
Your
I had no
multi-instrumentalist needs to be on your website now, Doug.
Yeah.
he's super talented, multi-talented for sure. Yeah. So that's amazing. Yeah.
Bass for me was actually my first. I mean, I had a trumpet when I was really young, but bass was the first instrument that I really dove into, because trumpet's very hard. It's a very hard, difficult instrument. And my father's needed a bass player, so I started playing bass. And I'll make the story short, but I was like playing a lot of bass, and the trumpet's what I always wanted to do. And when I went to college and wanted to audition on the trumpet to be a trumpet major, they'd put the music in front of me, and I couldn't read music.
Mm.
So I'm like, I can't do that. And they're like, "You want to be a music major and you can't read music?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I'm here." I'm like, "Right, music school." So they basically were like shocked and said, "Do you do anything else? Because we're not going to allow you into the program as a trumpet player." So I'm like, "Well, I play the bass," and I did a bass audition and became a bass major in my first 2 years of college because I wasn't good enough on the trumpet. So
Mhm.
my trumpet teacher, which is why I went to school there, was like, "Listen," I joined a band. I was playing bass all over, and my trumpet teacher said, "You need to sell the bass, sell your bass guitar, because you have so much work to do on the trumpet. If you want to be a professional trumpet player, you cannot be distracted. Do you want to be good at two, or do you want to be the best at one?"
Mhm.
Right? Which is where I was at as a college student. I needed to hear that because I had a lot of work to do on the trumpet. So I sold my bass, didn't touch a bass for 10 years plus. And then I was like, you know what? I should tell Shari that I actually can play the bass because I knew all of her songs. I loved all of her songs. You know, like I loved like the time. That's why I said loved. But it's like at that particular moment, I was like, I love a shot because I love playing the bass. You guys, like I love it. The bass is like really the foundation of any cool song. Like the bass player is kind of letting it know what's up, right? The drummer kind of also that too. But so when she allowed me to kind of like have a shot, you know, I was like, the rest is history. Because now what's beautiful thing about that is when we do shows, you know, all of her music doesn't have horn stuff in it. So, but all of her music has bass stuff. So we get to be together, play every song together, and I can kind of help musical direct the gig. And so Shari can focus on her, you know, singing and audience, and I can just like help orchestrate everything else in the background and still help hopefully make it sound good. And we get to do more together because of that. Whereas if I think I was playing trumpet, there's not a lot of not a lot of the need for trumpet in all of her songs. So yeah, that's a cool little backstory of that.
That's beautiful. So you found a
Yeah.
way to harmonize in a different way musically and to continue to work together as artists. That's awesome.
That's right. And I bought my bass back. That bass,
Ah,
the one I sold that I hadn't seen in over a decade, I called the guy and asked if he still had it. And he still had it. And I go, yeah, can I buy my bass back? And he goes, it's not for sale because it's a really good bass. And I'm like, well, I really need that bass back. And the long story short, I bought it back. So full circle, I get to play that bass that was, you know, with the Shari Puorto band, which is so much fun.
That's very cool. Doug, is there anything else that we should know about Shari that you want to tell?
Yeah, these are cool questions, by the way. Like I like this. There's so much to share about Shari that is more than just her music and songwriting and how awesome those elements are. Like she's a great influence to my 12-year-old son. Like everyone gets to see her like music stuff, which is amazing, and hear her, but she's also super amazing as like a stepmom, if you will, to my son, who's like dearest to my heart. And like he loves her. He's known her since he was probably 4.5, 5 years old. And you know, like it's just the coolest bond to see Shari with my child of growing up and being an influence for him and helping him out. So she's
I love that.
amazing, like you know, amazing mom, if you will, like another mom figure, which is really cool because not a lot of people that know her get to see that, right?
mhm.
So yeah, and she's a huge support of like my career as a touring artist as well, and it takes a lot as a partner to kind of it's hard. It's like I'm a truck driver. I'm gone a lot, you know, especially with the Kenny Wayne Shepherd band, you know. And so there's this because she is an amazing artist and understands it, you know. And thank God for technology and FaceTime and the
Mm.
way to communicate. I don't know how bands did it back in the day, you know, where it was a calling card and you're calling home and it was stuff. But Shari is, yeah, she's a great partner on every aspect, whether it's with my son and with my career with what I do. And she likes to do some cooking and make some, you know, we work well in the kitchen together, you know,
A
as
little
well.
bit of cooking,
But
not much.
We do have a cooking playlist episode, so you guys
There
should
you
check
go.
that out.
Maybe that will inspire us. Maybe. Maybe we
Yeah,
know a little
why
bit more.
not?
Why not?
but I also love her one of the things that for her that drew me to her when I first heard her. This is a cool story that I would love to share too. I was playing at it's called the Big Blues Bender in Las Vegas. It's probably one of the largest indoor blues fests in the country. And I was hired as the Bender brass. So I was the trumpet player performing with a lot of the bands and we were pulled a million directions. Well, I'm going from one show to the next and I could literally hear a voice that turned my head. That was like, who is that? I didn't. So I turned and there's Shari, who I did not know at the time, singing with a crowd of people, you know, crushing it. And I'm like, okay, I got to hear another song. So I heard another song. I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be late for my next gig. And then I listened 4 songs later because I'm like, I had to keep listening to her. Like she was so great. And what I love, one of the many things I love about her voice is she sells a song. She was like, I could feel the emotion of what she was doing because she just loved and felt so grateful to be on that stage singing. Like that alone caught my attention. It wasn't about, sometimes it's about look at me, you know what I mean? Like it can get that way for some people. And she's like, no, I didn't even know I had a voice 20 years ago.
Right.
This is something I'm learning, you know what I mean? Not learning how to sing, something that she learned, the hidden talent she had.
Yeah.
And so to see her on stage glowing and seeing people absorbing that energy, like I was one of those people, past tense, because this is the experience I'm sharing, but still to this day. So for her, like that was how we met. But I didn't have time to introduce myself. I was like, I gotta go. So I go, and then like the movies, they're the Plaza Hotel, and it was like they do these figure eights, and there's poker tables in the middle, the way the aisles go. So
Yeah.
what? Sherry says I talk too much.
like-
And, yeah.
That's all right. We know we know
Both
that
ran in-
you were
we
meant
ran
to
into
be
each other.
together, right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
We just ran into each other.
It was the coolest thing. It was like the movies. It was like, we were meant to like connect, and we connected, and I got to say, hey, you're awesome.
And I said, hey, you're awesome, because I got to see him play too.
That's so beautiful. And I
Yeah,
know
so-
that you guys, it's coming through definitely in this moment, but when you play, you're in it. You're in it emotionally, you're in it as artists, you want to portray the emotion and the intensity of the music. You sell the songs, like you guys said. So thank you for being here with us on the
Yes,
R&B
thank you very
playlist.
much. It was awesome.
It's a lot of
Thank you
fun.
guys for having us.
Anytime. We'd love to come back. Anytime.
Ah,
And we want
we're gonna
everybody
take you
to
up on that.
out there to listen to the playlists online, to come back week by week. We love you and we're happy to have you. And remember to trust us, not the algorithm. Thanks again, Shari and Doug.
Thanks, guys.
Nice
Bye, guys.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.